Hello and welcome to another episode of Real People, Real Business. I am your host, Izu Nwachukwu. And today we have another amazing guest on the podcast. This guest is the VP and Business Head for Europe and AMEA at HMD Global, which is an international mobile phone brand. He's also worked across India, Europe, Egypt, UAE, and Nigeria, my home country. Sanmeet Singh Kochhar, welcome to Real People, Real Business.
Hi, Izu. Thanks for having me over here, and it's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. So today we're going to delve into tech, mobile tech specifically, because you're the VP at HMD Global, which is a European mobile phone brand. But before we go in there, I want to touch on your experience, right, as a business leader. You've worked for Nokia, you've worked for Microsoft, and now you're working for HMD, and which stands for
Human mobile device.
Human mobile devices. So, what's the key lessons that you've learned that shaped your leadership approach to business and innovation?
Yeah. So thanks for asking me. And key points which I look at in tech, and of course I worked before tech. I worked in FMCG and in companies like Colgate, Palmolive. But when we look at technology, the key lessons first is that you should always understand that tech is going to change. And whatever is today, whatever happens, definitely not going to be the case 10 years from now. So tech is always evolving, and therefore it's important to keep yourself updated and always unlearn what you know, and then try to keep learning. So that's very important for tech leaders and people who are even getting into more entry level roles at tech companies. It's important to keep yourself updated, keep learning, looking at what's new in technology. That is one. Second is it's important also to learn that it should be that tech follows people and not the other way around. So get into the lives of people, understand how tech can help them, and which we call more purpose-driven tech. And that's how it helps create meaningful and purposeful innovations which people are going to value. That's another one. But when I look at leadership, I would say, the big one is, if we, and now as people are getting out of colleges and people are getting out of business schools, and it's a very global industry. The boundaries are gone, and in the coming times, everybody's going to be a global citizen, and they'll be working across different countries, across different cultures, across different nationalities.
Yeah.
And today, for example, we have over 45 nationalities, people from 45 nationalities working in my team.
Fantastic.
And when I talk to people, they are from different cultures, and there are different sensitivities, and there are different ways of working with them, and the nuances are very, very different, which you learn from experience, but you also learn by reading about them, reading about different cultures. And Dubai gives a great exposure to kids who are studying in school, because there are so many different nationalities.
Yeah.
So it's important to indulge in understanding, being curious about what's happening around you, and who are people, what's their context, where they're coming from, and understand this very well, so that you're able to collaborate and work with these people when you're working.
Fantastic. I love that. Just to recap is you always kind of need to adapt to change. You have to keep learning and evolving, which I think is good. We never stop growing. But then you also kind of mentioned this purposeful tech, which I think, and tech working for human beings and not the other way around, which I think in today's world, I'm not sure if we're still on that same page globally. But this point on purposeful tech leads me to my next question, which is HMD as a company. You guys, what makes you stand out? You've talked about how, the word human is there in your kind of job title, human mobile devices. So what makes you stand out from other sort of tech or mobile phone giants that we've got in the market? Where's the purposeful tech in HMD?
Yeah, thanks, Izu, for asking me. So I think this is a very, very critical, because when you wake up in the morning and you go to work, you need to be very clearly having a purpose or what you're going to achieve, what's the impact that you can create. And today in technology, especially in mobile technology, we see that most brands and most companies are chasing specs, chasing prices. We don't get involved in that. So for example, if you look at typical mobile phone stores and you speak to some brand promoters and even store staff over there, they'll talk about, how many megapixel or how many cameras are there or how many GBs of memory. And once you bought a phone, you realize, oh, I bought a phone with 3 cameras, and now suddenly after 3 months, there's another one similar looking, which is having 4 cameras. Or you bought something with 16 megapixel, now there's something with 64, or sometimes 100 megapixel, and then you bought with something with 64 or 128 GB, and now you have 256 GB and 512 GB and 1024 GB. So that's how a lot of companies are chasing specs,
Yes.
and then making the device obsolete.
Yes.
So it's once you have bought a device, you don't have after some time much option, but you see, the battery is hanging and the
Yeah.
software is old, and now you have to replace the device.
Yeah.
So we are not into this. We look at what is it that is that our consumer is looking for. So and I can give you a couple of examples. The first one is around what we call the family segment,
Yes.
where we have now we see even before teenage children and kids are having devices in their hands, and parents feel more secure when the kid has gone out and you have a GPS tracking device, or they can call their child to
Yes.
see where they are. But also I've seen, and we had something called a Better Phone Project, where we spoke to over 10,000 parents across different segments, across different nationalities, across different cultures, and ask them through focus groups on what do you think we should be doing, what kind of phone would you like for your kids, what is it that you're looking for in a phone. And we realize that there are 2-3 things. One is that sometimes when kids are going out, parents feel that now my child, they tell him, don't talk to strangers, be very careful when you're outside,
Yes.
watch yourself, be alert. But when they are in their room and the door is closed,
Yes.
parents are under the impression that now
There's safety.
they are absolutely safe and there's no problem. They just have their phone in their hand, which they're using for entertainment and social media, but they're fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do not realize that there's so much abuse online from strangers, which can be equally or sometimes even more harmful, right? And then also, in the perfect world of Instagram,
Yeah.
kids see that everybody is, having their happy lives.
great
And, this creates a lot of depression, especially amongst teenagers. In fact, we had this survey which said that over 1/3 of kids, of teenagers who are on social media, they are, feeling the anxiety and they want to get out of it, but they can't because all of their friends and some of their family are on Instagram. So there's so much pressure to not get out, but at the same time to, look very good and happy. And this is creating a lot of anxiety. So we took this out, and then we created something called, a device for the children.
Yes.
And which is like you have a parent device, and then you have, for example, a kid's device.
Yes.
And then when the kid is using that device, the parent can manage. And it's like when you're teaching your kids to cycle,
Right.
you sometimes first hold the bicycle, and then he learns, and then there are these safety rollers, and then that's how slowly the kid learns, and then you leave your hand, and that's how
then
it
they take
happens.
off, yeah.
So you show them how to get into this wonderful world of internet, but slowly. And so you can, for example, initially manage which apps the kids are going to use, how much time they're going to use it for, who are the contacts who are going to, they are going to send messages.
Yes.
If there is some inappropriate content, that can be blocked. So we have something called, so this is more, our service, which is managing the kid's phone, but there's an additional service, which is, around harm block.
Okay.
So if you're using the phone and on the internet, in spite of all your cautionary, apps, etc., there could be something which comes up which you consider inappropriate.
Yes.
And right now we are focusing on more sexually inappropriate content. So you can block it. So the phone would be like this, blank, and the kid can't see what is there.
Right.
Similarly, we have seen that, from our survey, that sometimes teenagers are taking selfies and inappropriate selfies and sending it to their respective girlfriends or boyfriends. And
Yes.
so, this harm block, what it does is if you're taking a selfie and then it sees, that you're trying to take a nude picture, it again blocks,
Wow.
you, the camera,
Yeah.
becomes like this
Fan-
and you can't take a picture. So this is what I call purposeful innovation, where you are,
Yes.
looking at what the consumer actually needs, the open needs and also the latent needs,
Yes.
where
Yes.
they're not expressing that they need, but they tell what are their problems, what are they struggling with in their day-to-day life,
Yeah.
what is it that they need help with, and how can technology help them, make their lives a little better. So that's why I call purposeful innovation, and that's something. Just one of the examples how we are trying to work with the parents, and how there's a more trust, and how we can have this mutually trustworthy relationship between parent and child and
Yeah.
technology.
That's fantastic because technology usage this day and age is getting younger and younger and younger, right? It's come
Yeah.
to a point where I actually say that the other nanny in the house is the iPad or piece of technology. That's what we used to keep the kids busy and watching content. And you may have all these blocks and stuff like that, but from what you're telling me, your technology allows kind of my phone as the parent to connect to their phone, and then it also blocks these things like nudity and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which is amazing, because you're not always going to be there as a parent, especially when you're talking about teenagers. You can't necessarily go in and let me see your phone, because they do want some privacy, right? Not that I had any when I was a teenager, but to that point you mentioned with social media as well, like the life of Instagram and how it impacts us. Back in my day, we all felt that anxiety when you knew the rich kid in school had the best Jordans, or he got the best game and you didn't have it. But you could go home and watch your TV and forget about it. But now it's 24/7 in our faces, this perfect life. And even as grown adults, we fall into it ourselves. We fall into, why is my life not as perfect of that? Why am I not a multimillionaire? Why am I not living this flash life? Let alone teenagers, and I've always said that something needs to be addressed in the way that kind of content is consumed in terms of reality versus fantasy, So I'm glad that your technology is to some extent is addressing this, for both kids as well as kind of the youth, if you like. So let me go on to my next question, which is, in terms of, reading up about HMD, one of the things I picked up was around sustainability and repairability. It's some of the keywords that you guys have as your values. We see, you mentioned earlier about other mobile phone brands. There's almost zero sustainability. It's like mobile phones have become the newest, latest fashion accessory. The tech is not really improving. Like you said, they add another camera into it. The phones are not necessarily getting any smarter. They're not necessarily delivering anything for my life. They've become what I call doom scrolling machines, with cameras attached to it. And they're built, like you said, to last maybe 12 months, maybe 24 months before you're forced to go and get another one because the speaker doesn't work or the battery is dying too soon. And some of this is purposely done by some of the major mobile phone brands out there. But you guys have these sustainability and repairability. How do you implement sustainability and repairability, and how does that have a business impact on your business?
Yeah. So maybe before I just come to what we are doing, I would like to express this. Today, consumers are becoming more and more aware, especially the younger, the Gen Z. They are expecting the industry to do something about it, to take very, very critical steps. And everybody is expecting, it's not even hygiene anymore. People are expecting what are the mobile phone brands doing around this. So that's the, one expectation that consumers have around this. It's not something which is nice to do. That is one. And we see more awareness. Initially, it was more in developed world, but now slowly we see that it is percolating down to the developing markets as well. So, that's almost like an expectation. So what we have done, we have now built in, this sustainability is a key piece that we address. So just to talk a little bit about the credentials, we have now EcoVadis Platinum rated company for 4 years in a row, and which places us amongst the top 1% across industries
Okay.
in terms of the work that we are doing in sustainability and in our products. And just to give you an example, this is now HMD Skyline, which I'm using. And if you see over here, this is a small this hole over here where you can put in a screw,
Yes.
and with one flip, you'll see that this is going to separate,
Yes.
and you'll have the battery, and this the back cover is going to come out, and you can remove the battery.
Yes.
Similarly, there is a kit that we have, which is a sustainability kit or repairability kit
Yes.
that we have, which a consumer can buy, and therefore you can fix your device at home. And the idea is how the device can be used as a longer for more time, for greater period of time.
Yes.
So that is something that we work on. Similarly, we have today 3 years of software upgrade, 3 software.
Okay.
For most of our devices, we have between 2 to 3 software upgrades
Right.
built into the device. So therefore, sometimes what happens is the hardware is fine, but because of the software,
Yes.
the experience is not that great, and you see that the phone is hanging. So that's another thing that we look at on how we can create a more sustainable experience due to repairability,
Yes.
which we brought it into the devices and spoke about it
Yes.
to the consumers. And I'm so happy to say that consumer really appreciated and were excited about this initiative.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Because sometimes it's like if you look at, the last report I read is that there's something like 6 million tons of waste that comes from mobile devices across the world. Say if you think about 6 million tons of waste and what that looks like, and that's just from people chucking their phones away every year and getting a new one. So the longer that you can keep this thing working, the longer you can keep it performing, updating the software, that does good for the planet in the long run. Otherwise this waste just tends to end up in our landfill sites and and things like that. So it's good that to hear that this is being done and you guys take this as a priority.
Yeah. In fact, one of our key mission is to see how we can do well for the people, for our partners, and the planet. So everything that we do, we think of the consumers, then we think of all the people who are partnering with us,
Yes.
and then what can we do for the planet. So that's one of the key mission which everybody is focused on achieving.
Fantastic. So actually, this point takes me to my next question. Where you talk about what you can do for your consumers. HMD is a global brand, international brand, and when it comes to mobile technology, when you have such big global brands, I don't think they take into consideration the local market. It's like here's here's the handset, here's the piece of kit. This is what it costs. And there you go. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily solve a local problem, whether it's based on internet speed, whether it's based on affordability, or whether it's based on how the people of that culture tend to use the phone. So I think what I want to get into it is, as a global brand, how do you meet localized market demand? How do you look at what's happening in the local market and then try and sort of create some sort of package or some sort of usability that works for local markets?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question, and it's very critical that while you are global in your thinking and you're addressing global issues and you're looking at how you can execute consistently across market, but at the same time, it's important to address local issues and be relevant to the local consumers and see what you can do to address their needs. And I can give a couple of good examples over here. One is in Africa. Africa is one of our key markets. And today, like we live in the UAE, and if you go to any electronic store in the UAE, let's say, for example, if you go to Emax or Sharaf or any store which is selling electronics good, the single most life-changing piece of equipment that you would find in a store is a phone, is a smartphone.
Yes.
And if as a family you do not have it and then later on you get it, it can be life-changing for you truly, because it can provide education for your kids, help in education, help in productivity, help in entertainment, connectivity. So it, helps in a lot of ways. And today still, we see that a lot of our fans and consumers in Africa do not have access to smartphones, mainly because of this issue of upfront affordability, where they can't afford the
Yes.
phone upfront. And we see that we have these payment plans, but they're not there below a certain level. Like if you are buying a phone which is $100 or $150, it's very difficult to get a loan on the device because a lot of these people may not have bank accounts, they may not have access to credit scores,
Yes.
and they may not have any history of credit.
Yes.
So most of the finance companies may not be giving credit to them or
Yes.
giving them phone on installments, and
Yes.
therefore they are a little scared because and a lot of these people are on daily wages,
Yes,
and
yeah,
therefore it's very difficult for them to give upfront, let's say $200 for buying a phone, and then they're concerned that what will happen if the screen is going to break, or if a very low cost phone you buy, the experience is not that great because phone is going to hang,
Yeah.
etc. So what we have done, we have something called HMD soft lock,
Okay.
which is integrated into a hardware and the software of the device. And then, we work with our partners to see how we can offer our phone on installment for up to 1 year
Okay.
with the a 1 year installment to the consumers.
Yes.
Which means that if you're buying a phone which is worth $200, you just pay upfront $30,
Okay.
and you get the phone, and then every day you can pay $50 which works with their cash cycle because you're getting their money every day, and then they can pay it like that. And of course, in case they are unable to pay, just to give security to the financer and to the fintech company, the phone then can be remotely locked, and then they can still open the app to pay. And
Make payment.
mobile paisa is very big in or mobile money is very big in Africa, so
Yes.
you can pay just through the mobile money a daily installment from the loan that they have,
Yes.
and continue to use the device. And this is proved to be game changing for so many consumers
Yes.
around Kenya. In fact, last year we sold over 1 million devices just in Kenya.
Wow.
Around this device financing. And I personally met and spoke to consumers who bought these devices, and it was a very emotional journey for me because some of these consumers had tears in their eyes because they thought that they could never be able to afford it, at least for the next few years. And
Yeah.
when they were using the device and they got the device, and this whole experience of touch and feel of a smartphone and what it can do for you,
Yes.
it's just game changing.
Fantastic.
And it was a very, very humbling experience when you go and meet with these consumers on the ground.
Yeah.
And of course, I met only a few of them, but imagine there are 1 million of them out there which just bought last year, and many more this year.
Yeah.
And then, so this is one good example of how you can tailor your needs, which may be irrelevant to someone in, let's say, in Germany, but could be very, very relevant for someone in Africa.
Yeah. 100.
Similarly, we have a business which is secure, where we are trying to create devices which is for specific businesses. For example, today,
Right.
a lot of corporates which are not like I won't mean corporate like private corporation, but like institutions like defense, which is military or police, or even critical infrastructure like Deutsche Bahn. They are looking at much more secure device, both from a hardware and software point of view, and somewhere how they can control the overall software stack. And then they are looking at devices which are manufactured within Europe. So we provide those end-to-end solutions, and that's something that we are working on, how we can work with these institutions, which mostly public institutions, and fulfill their needs.
Okay, fantastic. That's really cool. This, like you said, a smart lock that allows you to be able to democratize the access to these technology for people who otherwise couldn't afford it in emerging markets. So I think for me, you touched on the $30 that they can put up front, but you're not entirely playing in a market that's so to speak free. It's a very, very competitive market. On one end, you've got like the big brands like Apple in markets like Africa and Asia that potentially maybe cater to more kind of the more wealthy people who can afford it. And then you have kind of the Chinese, if you like, the Chinese models that are coming through that's somewhat maybe cheaper, and then kind of reach the same markets that you're reaching, or the same customer you're reaching. So how do you guys position yourself between these kind of the kind of super wealthy and the kind of, I would say more affordable brands. Where's your price point on this? How do you guys position your pricing of your devices?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very important one because this is a very difficult market, and while it's very big and scales are high, but in some of these, like I said, with all the devices looking the same, and everybody trying to have a race to who's going to have the best specs, and with similar looking devices, the the whole product can be very, very commoditized. The industry can get very commoditized very quickly.
Yeah.
And when it is commoditized, the one who has the scale has the advantage of the minimum cost and therefore, the best price. So we have made a conscious decision that we are not going to compete in this price spec, race, or we're not going to, go after devices which are lowest price.
Yes.
But we are going to find our niche.
Yes.
And see how we can find consumer needs which others are not looking at, and that's how we look at. So for example, I give you this example of affordability. So when we look at price, instead of just looking at what do you need as upfront or price for the overall device, you look at what is your takedown price and how that can be lower, and you can use this device for a longer period of time. Similarly, on our device, if we are giving more software upgrades at that price where others may not be doing, then after some time you'll have to change that device, where if our device is more sustainable,
Yes.
your overall lifetime value of the device goes up considerably.
Yes. Yes.
Similarly, this whole solution around the family and the kids segment, which we are coming up in, some of the other people are not providing that solution and we are, right? Then, giving again an India specific example where we have our feature phones, which is, not the smartphone, but the feature phones.
Yes.
We have this UPI solution, which was earlier there on smartphones, which is like a payment transfer or, payment transfer app.
Yes.
And we have that on our feature phones. So
Yes.
therefore, it's more democratizing technology and payment solution. Instead of buying a smartphone, how can you use that
Yes.
on feature phone? So net, we are not in a price war game, or we are not trying to sell something at the lowest price. We do not say we are going to be the cheapest, but at the same time, the value that we can add is going to be much more. And one of the things I've learned across industries in my career is that, whenever someone talks about price, you talk about value.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is it that you are providing for the price that you're asking? And
Yes.
If that is good enough, you don't have to be the lowest.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It comes down to the value, right? So if you think that you're getting a tremendous value from something, then you're willing to pay more for it. Unfortunately, I don't think that always works with common sense. I think sometimes people think the shinier and more status you can get with something, the more you're willing to pay for it, as opposed to, like you said, that purposeful tech. Does it have a purpose, and does it solve a problem, and does it provide value? Because that's where, for me, things should have some sort of commercial viability. Okay, fantastic. Now I just wanted to move to the next question, which is, this is the buzzword that we have today, which is around AI. AI is everywhere. AI is into everything now, and is, the talks of AI sort of becoming the norm, if not already so, in the next 5 years to 10 years. What is HMD doing with AI? How are you guys integrating AI into your products? How is AI going to help your customers and your consumers in their daily lives?
Yeah. So, this is a big one because we see that a lot of investments going into AI and a lot of growth happening in this AI industry and because of AI. So I think this is not just a buzzword in my view. This is going to be the future, and we are doing multiple things. One is that we are integrating AI into our products. The first example is how AI can be integrated into the camera, and when the image is getting captured, how AI can be used to optimize those images. What can we use to create better pictures and videos for our device, for fans and for our consumers through our device. And then next is different functions. So today, when you are using, one of the things that we say is that the battery on the device is optimized, and we use AI to see how is it that you are using your phone, which apps do you use more, which apps are you using less, what kind of data optimization can be used on that device, and therefore data and battery optimization. Similarly, the screen brightness. So, the phone, it adjusts itself to what kind of brightness you need or what you like, and similarly, if you're going in the sun, it'll change the brightness to optimize, the screen functionality and the screen brightness. So all of these AI features, which are integrated into the hardware and software of the device, which is helping a better experience for the consumers. Then the next one is, you said customers as well, which is we see more as our partners. So I gave this example of device financing and how we can sell to the consumers who are upgrading from a feature phone to a smartphone. And then when we have this data for multiple weeks or months or years, we see the payment patterns, and we use data analytics and AI to, one is forecast what is going to be the future payments which will come, and help have a predictability on the cash flow for us as well as for our partners. Second is, we look at which are the top paying and most loyal customers who have a great payment record, and see how we can sell them more different devices, and let's say upsell a new device, or maybe like a Bluetooth or a power bank, or what can we do to upsell something to these consumers.
Okay.
This again work by used by AI.
Right.
And then the last one is our own internal processes. What can we use? And we use a lot of AI in terms of marketing, in terms of creating stuff, which can be used as campaign, but also in our internal processes when we are, example, forecasting. So in this industry, inventory is a bad word, because this is a tech industry where prices are always dropping. So it's important to see how you can use AI to have the right and accurate forecast, so you're neither short on stock, but also definitely not having overstock situation where you'll have to then lose money to liquidate that inventory.
Okay, fantastic. So it's there for the kind of research and development and business planning. Would you guys consider an AI agent or an AI assistant on the phone for the consumer?
Yeah, so not as of now.
Okay.
I know a lot of people are doing it, but right now we have physical stores where you can go and get your phone repaired, and we also have call centers where you can call and people are assisting you with that. But also we have one step further on our feature phones. We have a replacement. In fact, even on our smartphones, we have so much confidence in our quality. And we know that there's so much work in terms of manufacturing which has gone in for creating the devices, and also a lot of testing has happened, and therefore from a customer kind of care point of view, we are so confident that we offer replacement warranty. That if there is some issue, we just change your device with a new one. So that's something that we offer.
Fantastic.
So as of now, we do not have, but who knows forward what will happen.
Let's see. So before we go on to the next questions, you've got some of your handsets here and some other kits as well. Do you just want to show us, what you've got, what models you've got, what's cool about them, and just so we can understand the products?
Yes, so we have, first of all, this HMD Skyline, which is, again, a device which is used for, it's wonderful camera, and our positioning is that it's a repairable device. So like I explained, we have this, screw over here where you can just quickly open the device, and it's a repairable device. You can get a repairability kit.
Sure.
Then this is again a very, very unique device. It's called the HMD Fusion.
All right.
And you see these over here are pogo pins. This can be helped to transfer data and power.
Okay.
So what we can do is, it can be connected to this gaming console, which connects over here like this. And then, when this happens, so this can become like a gaming console.
Fantastic.
And you can play this game with this console.
Cool.
Or if you want, you can connect it to this, which we call this flashy outfit. So they are different outfits. So this is a flashy outfit.
Right.
Where, you can connect it to this outfit. And then what will happen is, through your camera, if you are in a dark space, let's say, and there's no electricity, you can open this.
Oh, okay.
And
you get a little light.
And this is a light, and you can change the light.
Yes.
And you can see how this light is coming to you, and you can take selfie in different colors.
Right.
So this is a flashy outfit.
Yeah.
So there are different outfits which you can use to, which you can connect with your phone. Similarly, there's an outfit which can act like a power bank and increase your battery life. So there are different outfits which can be work with, which can work with this.
Yes.
And now we have a new category that we are working on, and maybe if I can do a little bit of a teaser.
Sure.
So this is
Why
now
not?
something called which we call AMD. It's already there in the market,
Right.
but many more new devices to come. So this now is a beautiful device. It looks like a power bank, and this can now connect to my phone. It's a wireless power bank.
Right.
And but there are so many power banks which are there which are connecting wireless, and this
Yeah.
can not only connect to my phone, it connect to any device, including the iPhone.
Sure.
And then it has something which is it's a it's a
Oh,
bud.
okay. So
And
you get
I
earbuds.
can listen. So it's like buds where I can listen to music
Right.
from and put it in my ears and listen to music
Yeah.
wherever I am and convert it back to a power bank. So this
Fantastic.
is again a very, very unique
And the
combination which is not existing with something that
Yeah.
we have got. And like I said, there would be multiple devices like this which would be coming up.
And this same power bank, I'm guessing, charges the earbuds as well.
Yeah, it can charge. Yes. This is
Fantastic.
charged inside. Yes.
Nice. And it's magnetic as well.
Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, I like this. Because, yeah, and again, you have these situations where you got your earbuds in a particular case and you got your power bank. So it gets a bit too much, but you have one little compact thing here where you can just clip it
And
onto.
looks quite sleek.
Yeah.
And unique, and it has a Qualcomm chipset and has a very good quality of music.
Fantastic. I like it. Great. Cool. Okay, that's really good. So I think we just go on to the next questions in terms of what's your vision? What do you see in terms of trends coming up in the mobile market? What trends should we be watching out for? What you think it's going to be? What can you predict is going to happen within the next few years?
Look, like I said earlier, I see this digital well-being being a big one.
Okay.
And more people would be and we see already schools in France or in some other European countries banning the smartphones in schools.
Yes.
And I see a lot of concerns around well-being of teenagers, especially because of exposure to social media and sometimes I would say even a little bit of addiction, and that is creating a lot of mental health issues.
Yes.
Not to mention, not playing sports or not going out and, not interacting with others. Or, that's so. These are signs which I see right now, and there will be more and more work which will happen in this category on what can we do. While technology is important, but at the same time, you need to have the right balance of what how much time you are spending on your devices versus how much time you are spending off it.
Yes.
So I think this is an important trend which is going to come within the technology industry. Second is on sustainability. I see this catching up very, very quickly, and we see this not just in our industry but in other industries as well. More and more. One is awareness, but also we see a lot of regulations coming in from different countries and governments to see, how more and more, regulations can be there, which are moving towards a better situation for the planet going forward and for the next generations to come. So this is another one which I see. And third one, which we've already spoken about, is around AI and how that is going to be impacting the devices and our lives.
Yes.
So I think these are the three one. And underlying, if I were to say, in each of these would be the transparency and privacy, and how the data is going to be stored, and there'll be more and more checks and sometimes fines on if people are misusing or if there's leaks or if proper steps have not been followed for or proper permissions have not been taken for storing the data or using the data of the consumers.
That's fantastic. I like I think it's the first time I've heard that term, digital well-being. I think we definitely need more of that. We need kind of a balance, like you said, especially for the next generation coming up. It's just the content. Technology is great. I always say it's what you use it for, right? And today's market, I think we've gone awry with the content. So yeah, I look forward to seeing more digital well-being.
Yeah. If I may add over here, I think this is, I would say that this is not just industry brands and leaders who have to drive this, but it's also, parents and schools and government bodies, education bodies. All of these have to come together
Yes.
and think about it and collaborate together to see what can be done around
A
this.
100%. But I think you guys are in a very good position with the kind of tools that you, so like with the hum block
Block.
that you have, those are the kind of initiatives that are needed to have that sort of serious conversation about how do you control what the kids are seeing, how do you control how much time is being spent, how do you deal with the subject of nudity, who's talking to your child. So I don't think I've known of any other tech brands that are kind of addressing that or have that as probably one of their operating behavior. So it's good to see that that's there. And like you said, it takes a village to raise a child. We all need to be involved in it, both policymakers, governments, and parents. So yeah, let's hope that we move forward with this in terms of the world agenda. Now, looking at HMD, coming back to HMD as a brand, so what do you think is next? You got this far with the brand. What do you think is next for HMD in Middle East and Africa? Are there any exciting plans that we need to
Yes.
to be aware of? Where do you see the business and the brand in the next 5 years?
Yeah, excellent question. I think so. The key ones which I will talk about, one is in each of these verticals. So we have these three different verticals which we are trying to expand, and then there is a base business which will be trying to grow. So the three big verticals, like I said, one is this family segment where we're looking at how we can, work with the kids devices and this relationship between parent and kid device and
Yes.
unblock and how can we develop that. Right now we are into this content which is sexually inappropriate, but then we want to bring in violence over there and how other things that can be brought in and have a better and safe experience for children to move to internet.
Yes.
That is one. Second is on this soft lock and solutions vertical that we have, and we are now be taking it forward to two other countries. So we just recently launched in Pakistan, and we are looking at other African countries where we are launching this. So this is a big one which we are trying to expand
Yes.
and get more and more consumers who can move to the smartphone and through the smartphone to the internet
Yes.
and have all the benefits of the internet. The
Okay.
third one is our secure vertical, and this is again something which we are working with different governments and with different partners to see how we can build this business, which is more like a B2B
Yes.
business,
Angle,
and
yeah.
that is something that we are working on. And our base business, which has been quite strong. And a big part of that is feature phone business, which we are again trying to grow and see how we can bring in more innovation in feature phone products. And of course, it will be very difficult to talk about our future products right now and what we are trying to look
Yes.
at future innovation. But the idea is to bring it more and more into the 4G feature phone
Sure.
devices and see how we can build in different new features and, like you mentioned, democratize technology and bring in these features for people who are using these phones.
Okay.
And also, I spoke about this AMD and the charger built into one. We are
Yes.
looking at many more devices in this space and see
Yeah.
how we can build more into this accessories space,
Yes.
which is also a very important space for us.
Okay, fantastic. And so if someone wants to get a HMD mobile today, where do they go? Where do
So
you
we
pick one up?
service over 2,000 stores
Okay.
in the UAE.
Okay.
So you can go to any of these, like Carrefour or Emax, or, Sharaf, these stores, or they go to any like an independent retail store like in Dubai or Dera or Satwa, and buy one for yourself.
Okay, fantastic. So we've almost come to the end of the episode. This is a section we call Share Your Wisdom, which is about yourself. So I have three questions for you, which are relative to you. The first one is, what's the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself in your business career? The second is, what do you consider to be success? And the third is, what advice would you give out to people who are kind of maybe starting out in their business career or in a similar field as yours, and and what challenges should they expect and how to get out over them?
Yeah. So the first one is around about myself, and I would say that I was surprised when I looked at when I got into a leadership role around 10 years back when I was leading a large business. I was surprised how I could very quickly move from looking at things from 100,000 feet and then very quickly going into 5 feet and looking at operational details
Yes.
and working very very closely with people like I was working maybe when I started my career, but at the same time sometimes just step back and look at the things from 100,000 feet as well.
Yes.
And initially I was very very operational and could get very very deep into operation, not looking at the micro picture.
Yes.
But then very quickly I was able to adjust
Yes.
and look at something which is 100,000 feet. And sometimes because when you are talking to people and there's so much content around you and so many conversations and meeting, there's always going to be so much material which is coming to you and so much information, but it's important that you are able to
Yeah.
cut the clutter and see what is the big picture, what is relevant, and make it simple
Yes.
for yourself, and then make this simple when you're communicating to others.
Yes.
So I think this is something which I've learned, but I was surprised that this is something which I've done quite well. It was quite a challenge initially, but
Yeah.
worked very well.
Yeah, I think just the point. My point on this is, we all start out our careers as operators, very kind of performance driven operational. So that's what we're taught. We're taught that, 1+1 is going to equal 2. You do this, you do that, you get a result. And we're never really given the big picture, especially by leadership. It's kind of like a closed door conversation, the 10-year strategy, the 5-year strategy. I will probably guarantee you that most people in large corporations don't know what the company's 5-6 year strategy is, that they work every day to achieve. They have that quota or that number that they need to deliver. And I think it's a disservice because the next generation of leaders are coming from those performance-driven individuals. So at some point, you should start treating them like leaders, like visionaries, and saying, okay, we have a 10-year vision, and this is what your day-to-day task is doing to achieve that. So it gives them more purpose, right? Because nowadays we see employees are not just looking for a paycheck; they're looking for something that gives them more purpose. And so I was the same as well. Well, I lie. I was always a big picture person, and I was always a contrarian. So I struggled to do the day-to-day task if I didn't understand the big picture, and that got me into a lot of trouble because it's like, just do your job. I'm like, but why are we doing this? And and once I got the picture, it was easy for me to fly. So I guess we're kind of on opposite ends of it. Whereas for me, it was, if I didn't see the big picture, I couldn't do the small task. And I think for you, it's like moving out and saying, okay, this is the big picture, and I can still zoom in and see what needs to be done, and nitty gritty, and to drive that big picture, because they're two sides of the same coins. So I think it's a great skill for everybody to kind of pick up on, no matter what level you are, because eventually we're all going to need that, even if in our daily lives.
Yes, yes, and while I completely agree,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I would say that I see this a lot in young people today who are joining the organization. They're always focusing a lot on the big picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say, should HMD be getting into let's say watches?
Yes.
Or questions like that. So
Yes.
I understand you should ask the question. There should always be curiosity.
Yes.
You should ask the questions. But at the same time, when people are coming into an organization, organization expect very, very strong execution
Yes.
from them.
Yes.
So, 80-90% of the time should be focused on how they can execute
100%.
and show their commitment to this, execution and
Yes.
commitment to the company. I think this is something which I had learned
Yes.
from one of my mentors, that it should be a focus on execution, and not get very very jittery very quickly.
Yeah.
That look, I need to be in the senior leadership, because normally it's a 15, 20, 25-year career,
Yeah.
and sometimes I feel people already being very jittery in the
Yeah.
1 or 2 years
Yeah.
initial, that look, I'm not doing the big stuff. And when I had learned in management B school, that time I was thinking that I'll be doing strategy, but then I'm only
Yeah.
doing execution. But this is also important, and you will learn a lot when you're taking big decisions later on in your career. If you have spent a lot of time on the ground, it'll be much better.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Sorry, moving to your next
no,
one.
No, no. So this is more about what you consider about
As an impact.
a success.
A success, yeah.
Yeah.
So my view is, success should not be measured only in positions or numbers or what you are achieving, but it should be more about the impact that you can create of people around you, not just your colleagues, but also your partners and most importantly your fans. What kind of impact you can create, and how people remember you, what kind of legacy you are leaving, and this legacy that you leave is not just in your career but in every role, in every role that you do. In fact, I remember once I got into a role when I was working with Nokia. That role did not exist, but it was created, and then I got into that role for there was some selection process. I got into that role, and then I spent a couple of years in that role, and when I moved out, that role was merged with another role, right? So I was the only person in that role, but I still believe that the work that I did in that role was, in my view, quite important. I got great learning, and I thought I created an impact in that role. So, what kind of impact are you creating in every role, in every position? I think that's what success means, and how you make people around you feel. What kind of impact you can create around people or with people around you. I think that's very critical. And sorry, the third one was on.
So what advice would you give to people?
Yeah, so I would say be curious. That's, if I were to say one thing, as you are entering into the industry, be curious and ask questions and try to learn more. Learn more about of course your job, also about the technology, and then also about cultures and sensitivity. I think that's also very important. We spoke briefly about it at the beginning, but I feel that I have a very strong view that most people are going to be global citizens as they grow.
Yes.
And especially from UAE.
Yes.
So therefore, it's important that you are culturally very savvy and are able to collaborate with people from different cultures and not just people who are of a particular type, whether it is nationality or culture or religion or gender. You should be able to work with diverse set of people, and that's how magic happens. That's how different point of views come in. That's how you have innovation when people with different thought processes are coming in. So I think this is important to learn what is the context, where they are coming from. That's very, very important. And if I would say one thing, I would say be curious, and try to learn stuff.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Sanmeet, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for telling us about HMD and sharing your thoughts and your wisdom. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Izu, thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.